A judge in Arkansas has granted farmers in the state permission to use a toxic herbicide called Dicamba this summer, in spite of all the health warnings about this product. You know, this again, it's another Monsanto story. It's like I can't get away from Monsanto. They're like, and now that they're joined with Bayer. Can you imagine? I mean, what have we created here? First of all, we know their history with Roundup is awful. And now Dicamba is supposed to come in and be better. It's worse. Tell us the story.
It is, and Dicamba's been around since, I think, 1967. It's what they had before Roundup, and so Roundup came out, was more effective, so they went with that, and Dicamba kind of took to the back shelf. But now that all this negative publicity and the horrible studies are coming out about what Roundup does to you, they're going back to Dicamba, trying to tell farmers, no, this isn't anywhere near as bad as Roundup. It's not going to cause those diseases. It just causes a whole nother set of horrible side effects.
Yeah, interesting. Why they're trying to sell Dicamba, and first of all, let me go back. It was taken off the market initially because of the problem with disease. They were worried about the science wasn't good on it. Their own clinicals showed it was not good. And so then they come up with Roundup. And Roundup is non-selective. It just kills everything in its way unless you have a special seed that's a GMO. It won't kill. You know, they're going to have, I think you and I talked about, we're going to have Roundup-ready people before it's all over. But Dicamba is just as bad. So what happened in this case? The judge has said, yeah, you can go ahead and spray it. We know the judge understands the science.
Yeah.
The judge has been told that this is not just new science. That this stuff has the potential to kill other plants, not just people, but from an economic standpoint, it destroys the farms that are next to Dicamba farms.
Well, exactly, and that the judge had specifically, addressed that issue because he only granted permission to 6 different farms in the state of Arkansas, and then you had all of the other farmers nearby who had kind of petitioned and said, listen, if he sprays Dicamba on his farm, even though he's 20 miles down the road, we know the science shows us the drift on that is going to kill my farm. That is one of the main concerns, aside from the health concerns, about Dicamba, is that it is easily, a little bit more so than Roundup, it can get into the atmosphere a little easier. It travels a little better in the water, in the soil, and in the air. So when you spray it somewhere, you have to keep in mind that this thing is actually going to travel 10 to 20 miles out.
From a farmer standpoint, that's important because it's non-selective.
Right.
It's not going to pick out a particular kind of weed to destroy. It's going to go after everything. It's going to kill everything. And the farmers that are next to these places where there's overspray, it's destroying their farms. This judge said, it's not a problem. It's okay. This story really starts getting worse when we start seeing this, how it's the physical harm that Dicamba causes is the same physical harm that Roundup causes. The other part of it is when we see the biopersistence of it. How long does it stay in the blood? We're finding Roundup in people's urine that have never worked around it. We're finding in food 1,200 parts per billion in Cheerios. Roundup, you see. And so I don't know how many free passes we're going to give Monsanto. They're just so politically connected.
Well, and here's another thing. This is one of the major health concerns because Dicamba, well, I'll take this back. Roundup, it takes a little while for things to cause problems. Dicamba can instantaneously cause illnesses and problems in people because its main ingredient is benzoic acid, an acid. So you breathe it in.
It's related to seizures, isn't it?
Right. You breathe it in. It can cause immediate chemical burns in the throat and lungs. If you get it on your skin, it can cause chemical burns on the skin. So those are instant damages that come from Dicamba. And the judge knew this, but he said, you know what? Go ahead and do it anyway.
Good old
because
boy
why
judge,
not?
Elected, probably an elected judge. Good old boy farmers got him elected. So, go ahead and kill the crops of the other farmers who didn't elect me, I guess, is the story here.